Today we're going to talk about how much your environment and travel impacts your mood. Marisa, how much does traveling impact your mood?
Oh my gosh, so much, Jeff. And I don't know if it's just travel or is it like the act of travel or just the environment you put yourself in?
Take your choice. Take your choice.
All of
Take
it.
one at a time.
All of it, yes.
Got all day.
We will get in. We want to hit a bunch of different aspects of it, but the short of it, at least for me, is I think both the act of travel, of looking forward to something, going somewhere, being on the move, having new stimulants makes a huge difference for your mental health and just like the joy you feel. And then also the physical environment. So maybe a normal place where you live is not the best. We'll talk about what we mean by environment, but just being, near nature or oceans or sun or just a country or people or community you happen to align more with, it can make such a huge difference. So absolutely, I can say qualitative, like as a focus group of one for myself, it makes a huge difference. I know you'll say the same, and we'll share some examples, but also we're going to share in this episode so many like tactical things that have proven science, and just we'll hit a list of things and then fill it in with very qualitative real life examples from ourselves and our friends that sort of support it. So it's not just, you're like, sunlight makes you happier. It's like, okay, but like, what does that mean for us when we travel? So that's kind of my overview of where we're going to hit. But what's your quick overview of thoughts of this before we dig in?
I am wildly impacted by my environment.
Oh,
I mean, it was stark to me coming back from Puerto Escondido, the beach, to here back in Northern California.
Womp womp.
Womp womp womp.
It's rough. It's so rough to go from that. Yes.
I mean, it really, really does impact me in a huge way. I mean, it's just, there's a physiological way. I won't get into it too much, like how your body actually responds to your environment, and also mentally how you feel about what you're looking at around you, and that's, both of those things combined completely change the way that the way that you approach work, the way that you interact with people, the way that you think about yourself. It's huge. It's everything. And it's a huge reason that I travel too. So I don't want to give away too much because we got so much to get through. So let's go with number one on the list.
Okay, you start us off.
Number one is environments that boost your mood. And this is, regardless of country, we will talk about some of the specific locations that we would recommend for each one of these bullets. But the first one is exposure to sunlight and just like bright natural light. This might be number one for me, and I could even rule out cold. I could deal with cold if I've got light. Yeah. And when I'm thinking of do I have light, it's how big are my fucking windows? Honestly, like windows in a house
are everything.
They are everything. Look, you guys have to put on Spotify and see that Marisa has gorgeous windows. I would be 100% happier and more productive if I had your windows. Just give me windows. The recipe to a happy Jeff is big ass windows.
I agree.
Everywhere.
When I walk by, I've been walking a lot around when I see like old houses that have, the old design, at least in the US, of houses with the smaller windows, and in a lot of countries as well. I just look at it and I'm like, how is anyone inside of there? You're in a cave. Get the light. Maybe they leave more. Maybe they're not home often. I don't know. I work from home and spend a lot of time in homes and Airbnbs or wherever I am. So I want all the light, all the bright light, all the sunshine, and so this makes a difference as we're talking about. I guess light would be the theme here as one of the things, but being going to a country or a place, a location where there is sunlight versus gray skies, 80% of the year, and also living in a place like you said, even if you go to the sunny places, but you're living in a cave and you're in your cave for 20 hours a day, like that's not fun. So it makes all the difference. So as this relates to Jeff, travel or digital nomad life, how does this topic of whether it's sunlight, windows, like how is changing your environments helping you with your mental health or happiness or joy or however you want to frame that?
Oh, in a huge way. And for a little bit more context, for those of you who haven't listened before, I've discussed in previous episodes the lifetime of depression that I've battled, the ups and downs, those kinds of things. And it's really closely tied to that. So I might be a little bit on the far end of the spectrum of how much I'm impacted by this. But if I choose correctly where I'm going to go, it makes an enormous difference in my overall mood. So for me, if we're talking about locations, Costa Rica, we were just talking about that before the call. Perfect. Nothing but, I mean, you'll have your amazing storms and stuff.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even count for me because that's kind of fun. And it does feel, everything in Costa Rica, you're indoor, outdoors. Like they don't, a lot of times there's not even a wall in the places that you're hanging out, right? And I love that. That's great. You're just exposed. My ideal world is all the walls
3 walls
open.
only. Minimum.
Or are they open?
Maximum, I mean. Yeah.
My stepdad is it's like a general manager of a job site. It's a $25 million house in Napa County. This is Northern California. And they've got their family room, which is enormous. And both walls are sliding glass windows, and they slide into a pocket, and the house opens.
Yes.
It's not a door.
Yes.
It's a house opening. It's perfect. That is my life. That's exactly what I want. So just give me lots of windows. Puerto Escondido was great for that because I had an apartment that was only windows, and there's like one little beam that blocked my bed. You couldn't see in and out perfect. That's all I need. That's absolutely fantastic. Costa Rica, same thing. Everything just feels indoor, outdoor all the time, and you're just out, you're getting fresh air, and you're seeing nature, you're seeing the world outside. You're not in a little box. So I think a lot of tropical would probably check that box with a few exceptions. Of course, you can get places that are like kind of a cave, but a lot of times it's kind of indoor, outdoor with that. Opposite side of that, go to Europe. Okay,
with castles,
the gray. The castle had a lot of light. The one I was just at, a lot of light, but it was renovated, so they would have a lot of light. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at
gray skies.
Romania, Czech Republic, right? Eastern Europe, gray skies.
I don't know. I had some non-gray skies in those locations in the summer, but a lot of the year they are.
Yeah, you got peak. But yeah, they weren't huge on windows. Italy was definitely not big on windows. When I was staying in Florence, anywhere outside of Florence, those older buildings, there's like, pop a window in there. I'm like, that should be a window. The whole thing should. Why? Why would you want that? You know?
Yeah.
But there's also science to back this stuff up too, not just vibing on this one. We know that sunlight We know that sunlight exposure increases your serotonin quite a bit. It improves your circadian rhythms, which helps with sleep, and sleep is a huge impact on your mood. We know that daylight exposure, people that get enough walking around outside under the sun, reduce their depression by 20%, and they link outdoor time in natural light to improve mood and decreased anxiety just overall. So this is all backed up. This is all backed up by science. This is real stuff.
Yeah, there's so many things people say, like, oh, I wasn't depressed. It was like just winter. Like it was just this season. So, you live in a place where, I don't know, winter's not all bad. I feel like someone wrote us in once and was like, I love the snow. I love winter. Like you guys are only chasing summer. But, people really do get seasonal depression. It is very, very real. So just having a job that lets you work from anywhere, being able to travel, even if you just wanted to pop out for a month, in that December, January, February time where it's just that misery cold, or, depending which side of the hemisphere you're on, it depends on the month. But it makes a huge difference to have the freedom to be like, I'm just going to go to this tropical place for a month in the middle to kind of like boost that serotonin, get that exposure, be in the sun, be in the light and bright again, because it is... there's like the most suicides at that time during the year, the most depression. Like it's rough. So the point of all this is, we'll move on to number 2 in a sec, but it's just being a digital nomad gives you the freedom to put yourself in different environments that can give you different aspects of what you need at different times of the year. So sunlight, natural light is our first one. Anything else for that before we go on to number 2?
No, if you're gonna rent a place as a digital nomad,
look for windows.
Look for windows. Do not look for light exposure. It's like, oh, it looks light in that room.
Making a picture. Look for windows.
It's not real light, folks. Look for the windows.
Edited.
That's the hack. Look for the windows.
100%. All right. What's number 2?
Number 2, I think you're gonna love, and I'm actually gonna let you lead this one, is proximity to green spaces.
Ooh, well, I like ocean spaces better than green spaces, but I'll take it.
Both.
I'll take both. But yeah, proximity to green spaces is a huge thing. So coming from someone, for example, I lived in New York City for 5 years. I didn't realize what an impact it had. And then I moved to Venice in Los Angeles in California afterwards. And I was like, there's grass, there's blue skies. I can see the sky. I can watch sunset. I'm at the beach. Like the green space, this just having like parks and grass versus just buildings and cement makes a huge difference. So for this one, being able to travel, let's say you live in a city, or maybe your parents and your family, your friends, like where I am in a city in Atlanta. That's where my family is. That's kind of my home base. There's actually, Atlanta has a lot of trees and grass and all of that, but it's you're in a city, and it makes a big difference when you go, when I lived in Bansko, Bulgaria for a month, for example. I think I came from the US to Bansko, and I was just like, the air smells like pine trees, and there's trees and green everywhere, and there's creeks running through, and it just felt like relaxing and good and better. So there's a lot of, we've talked I feel like here and there about grounding. Jeff and I have a joke. We're like, I just need to put my feet in grass for a little bit. And there's a lot to be said for, you can live in cities and, you put your shoes on when you walk outside and you go work out with your tennis shoes on or wherever.
Never touch ground one time.
Your feet will never touch ground if you don't actively try, versus when you're in places where you're just like, oh, there's grass in my backyard. There's a park across the street. I'm going to put my feet here. It makes a huge difference. There's a lot of science behind trees actually having a big impact on your health and helping you heal from disease and being healthy. I could go into that. I won't, just trust me for it. But Jeff, I'm sure you've got like more science or stats. So what's your thought on the proximity to green spaces?
There's a lot to it. And there's a lot to, we could get into just grounding alone. There's a lot. It's kind of an emerging science thing where they're just starting to get some. I'm obsessed too. And I'm doing it all the time. Yeah. We have to talk about what grounding actually means.
Give us the definition.
So the idea of grounding is you get like bare skin contact on the ground. That includes like barefoot walking. I like to just lay on the ground. You just go lay in the grass, right? It's grounding. Or being in water is also grounding as well. Or some people use like grounding mats. I think that's a little bit over the top.
I have one.
You dork.
I was desperate. I was feeling so unwell for so long that I was like, I will do anything to just add a little bit of help. But it doesn't quite replace. I don't think it's as powerful as the real thing. There's so many, I feel like, biohacking
electromagnet.
tools. Yeah, like we try to do all these things just to replicate nature. So it's like I feel like it's better than nothing. Where I was like, I might as well just have my feet while I'm sitting here at my computer working on a grounding mat, but I also want to make sure I get outside and touch grass. But it's really neat. I don't know if you've ever seen the science. There's this video I watched once where someone's standing. So our body, like we have electricity, electrons in our body, and you have your body has an electrical charge, and we actually scientifically think about all the electricity you're taking in from our Wi-Fi, our routers, our devices, all of that. When you step on grass, your body comes back to a neutral place and balances the electricity needed in your body to be healthy. So it's wild that people could go months, years without putting their feet in nature if you don't. When I'm living in a city, if I don't actively, purposefully do it, I will go months. Versus if I'm in Costa Rica, I'm just naturally walking barefoot everywhere. I don't wear shoes. My feet are on the sand, the beach, the ocean. I'm grounding 24/7 all day, every day. But that's why this environment matters so much is as a nomad, you can put yourself in those places where you get to, be in a place where it's easier to ground, where you don't have to think about it or try. It's just part of your daily life. That's
what the science is saying is basically we've now put a rubber sole or asphalt in between us and the earth. And it kind of makes sense. We went through millions of years of evolution in
walking
a certain
barefoot on the ground.
And then you just remove some particular element. It's going to make sense that something's going to, one of the wheels is going to fall off.
Yeah.
And they say when you get back to that, there are benefits, including less inflammation in the body. This is not just woo-woo. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a skeptic of all this stuff, and I'm actually, you know what? I'm not a skeptic anymore, am I? I've changed.
You're in, but it's because there's so much science behind it, also. But
I still need a little bit of grounding in that.
I like grounding. A little bit of both. I am full woo, but I love the science.
Yeah.
When there's science to back it up, it's just nicer because
it supports.
easier. But yeah, there's a video I saw where people literally, it's like there's a little device you can hold that measures your electrical charge, and it like shows the number, and the second he stepped onto the ground, you can literally see it go to zero. Like you can watch it in an instant. So it's cool to watch visually the science behind it.
They do say that it has an effect on your heart rate variability. So it can, your parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system thing, it like kind of balances it a little bit. Yeah. There's something in it about improving blood flow and red blood cell clumping. I don't even know what that
clumping?
means. Clumping? I don't want I know I don't want them clumped, but I don't know if that's...
Clump's just the right amount.
But then they find that it increases calmness, reduced anxiety, better mood, all that kind of stuff. And some of that may be a little bit harder to measure, understand why, but I know it works. I do it every day. I'm going to go for a walk after this and barefoot in the park and just kind of stare at the sun for a little bit, that kind of thing. But yeah, so green spaces, let's talk a little bit about some spaces that are good for that. Like, where do you think of when we say green spaces as a digital nomad that people could go?
I don't know. I'm so into the ocean beachy places that I'm trying to think, like Banksco. Like I think about like foresty places of like Colorado. I know that's not in a different country for us, but different lakes. I feel like in Europe to go to like Slovenia has a bunch of lakes, or where else have I been? Just like in foresty areas. Romania had some of it in the nature.
Had quite a bit.
There's a lot of, I think, about green foresty space there. Most of the places I think of are ocean, but to me, Europe is really the place I think for those like kind of green, naturey places.
Yeah, a lot of people go to Edinburgh, which is a city, obviously, but it's surrounded by nothing
as well.
Nothing but green.
Rolling green hills in Ireland,
tons and tons in Colombia, just that tropical green. Everywhere that you look is just that bright tropical green. And I'm not just talking about where can you walk in ground, but just being surrounded by green. Yeah, just tropical. I mean, Costa Rica, Colombia, all of that checks those boxes. I feel like we're missing quite a bit because we don't do much like thinking in terms of forests. We don't do much forest.
We don't do much forest travel.
Mountainous travel, I don't know. There's not a ton of that. I know some people go to Argentina. Like Wi-Fi Tribe has a chapter up in the mountains.
Bariloche, people love for
Bariloche.
that. Yeah, you get like the mountains, lakes in Chile, like that sort of area. That's where Patagonia area. Iguazu Falls. Yeah.
Little less common, but
Brazil, get some rainforest. Yeah.
Brazil, yeah, exactly. A couple final stats on this one, and then we'll move on. Studies show that children who grow up near green spaces have 55% lower risk of developing psychiatric disorders.
Wow.
And research concluded that as little as 20 minutes of sitting or walking in a park can lower your cortisol by about 1/5, 21%. So there you go. You want to go relax? Go lay down in a park, take your shoes off.
Yeah. And again, if someone's listening to this, Jeff, who's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have to be a digital nomad to go like sit in a park with my feet in the ground. So how does digital nomad life specifically like allow you to have more of this in your life?
I guess because you can specifically choose places that are just that. Right now, you feel most people listening, I think, are mostly city-based, I would think. Even if you're in a suburb, you're still kind of city-based, concrete, jungle. You can choose places that are, like for example, your Costa Rica or my Puerto Escondido. You walk outside and you're in the environment that you want to be in automatically. Like you just step outside your door and you've got what you're looking for. Like look outside and you've got green space. Yeah. So you don't have to look for it. It's just in your environment at all times, which... that makes me happy. I don't want to have to search for something nice to look at. I want it in front of me.
Yeah, I think that's the difference too. It's like instead of being like, okay, if I'm right here, I could go to a park, I could go look at a pond, I could, find a couple of, I can look outside and see a couple of trees, but it's different than, like living in Cape Town and walking out your door and being like, holy shit, there's this crazy mountain and ocean, or, wherever you choose to be. So the point is like you can go to purposefully put yourself in these environments where it is, you're like, you need a forest. Like you don't have to drive 2 hours to get 20 minutes and, on the weekend for one day. It's like, you can go live in a forest for a month. Like if your body is craving that and needing it. So to me, that's really what nomad life is about, or like getting a remote job, having the freedom, if you're thinking about it from a health perspective of your life, it's like, what does your body need right now? What is your body craving? And not like, oh, let me get this tiny watered down version. Like, go get the fucking best version of that you can have in whatever
and the best
country
version of
is
you
calling.
that's going to come as a result
That's
of that.
important.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's absolutely it.
Okay, so with that,
I need to go back to Puerto. Oh my God.
I know. I'm ready to go there too, Jeff. Say the word.
You ready to go there too? All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
I need to be back at the beach. It's time.
All right, the next one I've got a lot on, but I really want you to lead with it. It's blue spaces, which are water environments. Okay, let her cook.
Okay, yeah, so this one to me, I feel like some people love the green spaces, some people love the blue spaces. I don't know if they're equally the same scientifically. I think they're both fantastic. I am personally drawn to, like, I love the jungly green trees, but like, give me the ocean and I am a happy, happy person. But there's a lot of science between or around, like, you have here oceans, lakes, rivers, all of that, even waterfalls. So with moving bodies of water, so you have ocean waves moving, it's different than like a still lake even. A waterfall is falling. You get something called negative ions. Are you familiar with this, Jeff?
Is this similar to what you get with grounding? Like you're releasing negative ions?
You know, it might be similar. I should look it up. It's like, maybe it's just like different methodologies.
Like it's in the same ballpark.
It's definitely in the same ballpark, but moving water releases negative ions. It literally is something when you breathe in and you have in the air, you are healthier. So people who live by the ocean are statistically proven to be healthier. So I think there's a lot to do. I don't know if it's just scientifically of like we're getting these things in our body that we need that help balance us out electrically, but also like even going in an ocean, your skin, like think about how deficient so many people are with magnesium these days. When you go and swim in the ocean, your body is like, so your skin is your largest organ. You are soaking in magnesium. So it's like you're getting all these nutrients that like our food is missing these days. And there's a lot people say just from your mental health, when you are looking at a body of water, you are calmer, your blood pressure is lower, you are happier.
You don't have to be in it. Oh, you just look at it.
Yeah,
it's
being
wild
near it, breathing
how
in
true
the air
that
of
is.
it. It's so true. So I just, and I can give you, you know, it's like you can hear that scientifically, but Jeff and I can both tell you, like, when I live in Costa Rica in a small little town, you know, for months on end, and I'm walking barefoot on the beach, I'm just looking out at the ocean every day. Life moves at a slower pace. People move at a slower pace. Everybody's less stressed. It's like just more, life is just better. It's like, that's like all I can say. And so when I think about life as a nomad, like it's nice to bop into the city for a little bit and, you know, buy things and go to party for a little, you know, like some people love the buzz of a city, but I just love that you can choose. Like, let's say that's where you're based and you like that, but maybe for a month or two, you want to go and just be like, okay, I'm just going to be healthier. I'm going to get my blood pressure down. You're going to feel calmer. You're going to be joyful. It's like the blue spaces, and again, some people are more of lake people. Some people love oceans. Some people like the rivers. Like, take your pick, go look by a waterfall. I don't care. But there's just a lot of science proven behind it. So when you have when you get a remote job and you have the freedom to be anywhere, it makes a huge difference. And I think about even my life in Sri Lanka, for example. There's a little town. I lived in Weligama in Sri Lanka, and it's this tiny little surf town, and every day I just would wake up. It was perfectly sunny every day. I would walk on the beach for like 2 hours, swim in the ocean, sit in the sand and meditate. And I was just like, life is good. Like, life is just great here. So it just, yeah, it makes a huge difference. But I know you just spent the first almost 5 months at the beach in Puerto Escondido in Mexico, living this. So what's your experience with this, Jeff?
I mean, if I was having a bad day, all it would take is a little barefoot walk on the beach, gone, full reset. I think that's kind of what your body's designed to do as well. I think you can reset it, because when you're upset, you're just storing all of this anger energy in you, and then when you get out into the ocean, it just kind of bleeds out. It just releases through your body. You can't really do that when you're living in the suburbs. Like, what? I mean, what do you do? Put on TV? Like, that's gonna mask it, but it's not gonna release all of that in your body. But just being near water somehow does that. And then when you look at, I mean, this one's indisputable. There's data on data on data on data. If you were to Google Blue Mind, it's like a study on this meditative stress reducing effects of water proximity, just being around water. So just look up Blue Mind, and it'll tell you everything.
Phrase specifically.
Yeah, it'll tell you everything you need to know about like what this actually does to your brain. let alone your body. So yeah, I mean, I got nothing more to add to it other
Feeling
than
a
what
little
you said.
depressed or down, just go bring yourself to the ocean.
Fixes
Get a flight,
you.
go find a
Yeah.
lake.
It does.
Go work remotely while you're looking at that all day, and your life will be better. I have friends who would come stay with me in Costa Rica who weren't nomad friends, but like could work a little bit remotely and stayed. We were there for like a weekend. They stayed longer and they worked remote with me. And my friend was saying, she was like, my life is just like, when my work is so stressful, you know, when she's in Atlanta, she was just like, and then I'm just stressed and like, I have no way to get rid of it. I just feel stressed. And she was like, when I'm here at the end of the day, she was like, yeah, I don't really care what just happened because I'm just walking out to the beach and now I don't care. Like, she's like,
Perspective.
yeah, there's something magical that happens. So if you are someone who's like, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling stressed, your work is making you anxious, like go work from a beach, your life will be different. Okay.
I completely agree. Yeah.
What's number 4? This
Next
one might be
one.
more of you.
No, I disagree with
neither
it.
of us.
I
Oh.
disagree with it. Actually,
Okay.
I'm opposite. It is mountains and high altitude spaces. And the theory behind it is visually when you're up in a mountain looking at forests and like expansive views, it's objectively beautiful. You've got clean air. It's super, super quiet. It's very restorative for people. For me, it gives me cabin fever immediately. I am not well when I go to high altitude places.
I don't have anxiety, but if I were to, mountains make me feel lonely. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Is that weird? No one else ever
Well, I
knows what I'm
think
talking
what
about.
happens is it makes me feel lonely and it gives me anxiety. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like I
think
feel
that's
too
the
alone in the
underlying
mountains.
driver of the anxiety. Just seeing it, I think, sparks a loneliness in me that makes me uncomfortable.
You're
Makes me
the
think.
only other person who's ever understood what I'm talking about with that. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
I love the mountains. They're so... I'm like, but I feel so weird in them. So maybe we have to include it because for some people, they feel really at peace in the mountains and looking at giant mountains. It's one of those things I feel like you feel so small and the world is so big when you... I don't know. I just feel lonely. I don't like them.
I'll be hanging out with somebody and they're like, oh my God, I'm so at peace. And I'm next to them
Yeah.
like, I'm having a panic attack.
I know. I'm like internally, I feel like I had some...
I am dying inside right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. So for those of you, actually, maybe we can do a poll, Jeff. We do a little poll for this.
Yeah, I'll
podcast
throw it
of,
in
like,
there.
Do mountains make you feel lonely and anxious, or do you love them? I want to know. And if you could relate to us, like write us in because I don't know. People think we're crazy for this one, but in general, I feel like it can be part of nature, part of like the green effect. I feel like a lot of mountains have lakes, you know, with them nearby, so you get a little ocean, a little green, a lot of quiet, a lot of nature. So I can see why that would add to it.
I get it, but not for me.
Not for me either, but it's
You
on
know,
here for
like-
you if you're listening, if you're a mountain person. So yeah. If you can do that, you go park yourself as a nomad, go to a little mountain town for weeks, months, go live there for
Enjoy.
a year.
I'll see you when you get back. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I can't think of many digital nomad spots where that's a thing. High altitude mountainous.
Well, Bolivia, high altitude, mountainous.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's mountainous. I was thinking. I guess I was thinking more forest, but that's not what.
But
it's
also
saying.
Cape Town, you have like, you know, the Seven Apostle. I don't know if you want to call this mountains.
Yeah,
mountains.
I guess, but I think what this is saying is like very quiet, isolated types of.
Yeah.
It's what I'm getting out of it because it's saying like national parks with elevation, alpine villages, right? Ridgeline
towns. People love,
trails,
like-
ski towns. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel
Bansko would, but
Thanks.
still, that's pretty
Yeah.
populated. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let us know if that one doesn't
Skip
for
it.
you.
It's
But
not-
you get
it's
to
not for
go.
me.
Okay, what's number 5? What other ways can help our mental health feel better as a nomad?
The next one is just being in a mild, pleasant climate. So think not too hot, not too warm, just kind of in the. When I say this, I think of Mediterranean.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Medellin because everyone talks about that. It's like the perfect
Oh, it
climate.
is. Oh yeah. I mean, I guess that would be the ultimate, right? It's the city of
Varies
eternal spring.
1 degree throughout the whole year. It just stays the same.
It's either 77 degrees or 78 degrees. That's all you got. It's either wet or not wet. So the science on this one is that it shows these temperate climates reduce seasonal affective disorder, which makes perfect sense because people who get that usually get it when the sunlight's lower, when it's cloudy, when it's cold, that kind of thing. In these climates, you don't necessarily have as much of that. So thinking in terms of regions, that would be Mediterranean, that would be like subtropical islands. So I think that would be, what are the ones? Majorca, I think. Like some of these
in Europe,
some of these guys off the coast of Europe.
Yeah.
That would be like subtropical types of islands where it just kind of stays medium all the time, and you don't even have to think about it. Like these places where there is no weather. It's just you're outside. It's like you just don't. It's like same shirt every day. Like you don't even have to plan a jacket. I think there's those kind of places that they're thinking of. Although I would say I don't gravitate towards those types of places as much. I would probably like a little bit something more on either side of it. Like I tend to like a little bit more heat. If I can wear a tank top, I'm pretty happy, and that's usually in the higher.
I
love
love the heat as well. I feel like when everyone is miserable, they're like, it's so humid, it's 90 degrees, it's so hot. I'm like, this is amazing. Like I love it. I don't know. I love really hot and humid tropical places. I'm so happy to. I'm like, I want no bit of cold. I don't want to have to put a sleeve on me. I don't want to have to wear socks to stay, like nothing. I just want to be no jackets. It's just hot.
Sandals. That's the ultimate weather test. Right? If I can wear sandals there, probably going to be fine. Sandals and tank tops, I'm probably in my happy zone. So that's pretty good. And a lot of this is these temperatures they're talking about, this climate they're talking about, I think mostly pertains to Europe, Mediterranean. And it's not a place that I want to spend a ton of time anyway. So I kind of associate digital nomad life with Europe, and I think, probably not. Maybe like a month a year,
Some
like I did just now.
Europe summers,
yeah. A lot of people love Europe summers, but I would choose other places.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think for this one, again, the point is like whatever temperature you like as a digital nomad, you get to find that year around if you want. So some people thrive in a little bit cooler temperatures. Some people, like us, we love a little hotter, a little tropical, like whatever you like, whatever feels good for you. And everybody, right? Everybody is different. So what I love about this is, maybe there's a certain place you love that's great for you 4 months of the year, and then you don't want to be there when it becomes winter or dark or gray or cold. So you get to go enjoy it and then go find somewhere else that like your body thrives in the other months of the year. And I think that's the beauty of nomad life. So it doesn't have to be these like 1 or 2, 3 places in the world that are perfect year round. You get to go at the times of year to the places that feel really good to you. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, the next one on the list we're both going to agree on 100%. It's low noise, low density. Ooh, I had a burp. It's low noise, low density environments. I've got so much on this.
You start.
I hate loud noises.
I didn't know you hated it that much.
There's something to it. It was so much that I had to Google it because it was maybe a few months back. Somebody had one of those violently loud sneezes, and I got physiologically, I got angry, uncontrollably
Jeff,
angry.
That might be a you problem.
I looked it up. It's called misophonia. It's a real thing. People that are very sensitive to sound. It's not something that you're just like consciously getting angry at it. It's just my body gets angry at it, and I do that with really loud noises. It just absolutely makes me upset. It makes me anxious, and I think the studies show that most people are more uncomfortable around lots of noise and lots of commotion. It's just a little bit stirring. Like it ups your cortisol because there's so much activity happening, so much noise, so much input. I might be on the extreme end of that where I'm angry at slamming cupboards and loud, violent sneezes, dad sneezes. But it is a thing. It is a thing for everybody. And it shows that people that are not around that as much are happier in general. So less noise pollution, less just commotion, like hustle and bustle, San Francisco, New York kind of thing. Being around that many people all the time, that much noise all the time, just kind of puts you on fight or flight mode almost endlessly until you get away from it. So that's a big one for me, and that's I think why I found that the beach town thing is it. Like that, pretty quiet. I haven't been to a beach town that's too noisy unless you're going to some random party somewhere. It's not the way it goes,
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think for me, again, living in New York for 5 years, and you just sort of like adjust to it and think it's normal. And I remember when I used to leave there, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like my body's just more relaxed. I can breathe a little better. You don't even realize how much it winds you up while you're in it. And even going back there now, I'm like, this is so aggressive. It's so intrusive to me. I hate it. Like, get me away. Even in cities.
You feel it in your body before your mind, right? Like, all of a sudden, you're just like, why am I feeling bad?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, there's so much fucking noise and people moving around. It's just stirring you.
Everywhere. And even being in cities here, like, I feel like there's, like, neighbors around here that have, like, leaf blowers all the time. And I'm just like,
are you a leaf blower person?
No, not me. Like, other people have. The noise drives me insane. I'm like, this is abusive. Like, get this. Like, why are we doing this? Like, let the leaves be.
My brother gets almost violent when he hears leaf blowers. Like, the neighbors do.
Irritating.
I swear to God, I've got a neighbor that'll crank that thing up at like 6 a.m. in the rain. I'm like, do you hate your family that bad? There's 3 leaves out there, and he's just like screaming and yelling. It's so funny.
Yeah, it drives me insane. So it's like these little things. I feel like maybe we notice them more because of the travels we've done. Like, when you grow up somewhere, or you just live somewhere for years on end, you just kind of accept it as normal, even when your body is alarmed and, like you said, in fight or flight, or like unhappy about it. But you get used to that feeling, and you think it's normal, so you don't know any different. But then when you go travel elsewhere, like, think about it, if you've gone on vacation, you're like, like, I'm sure there's a variety of factors. You probably on vacation, you're not working. Maybe you're at a beach, maybe you're like at some hotel. That's like, there's a lot of reasons you can relax, but a big part of it is like that quiet, lack of noise. So even if you are someone who likes the hustle and bustle, sometimes, again, nomad life just gives you the freedom to take a break from that for a little bit. If it's bothering you, or you just need some extra, like you're feeling a little stressed or a little frazzled, you get to go to a place that can be really quiet, and maybe you don't want to live there. I think I said in one of our emails a while back, I gave an example. There was this really tiny little town I lived. Panama's another really great green space one. But I was living in Panama on this like tiny little island for a month where there was nothing. Like maybe the bugs were loud. And that can be a thing. There's monkeys around. Like there was maybe 3 restaurants in this whole island where I was, and at night it is like silently, nothing. And I wouldn't want to live there 12 months of the year, was the point of that email. Like it might be too quiet all the time. I need some people and activity, but for some time it was really nice. So I love nomad life because you get to kind of like pop in, pop out, like whatever your body needs, whatever you're craving or searching, whether it's a season, time, a reason, you get to go and experience. And so that quiet can be so amazing.
Okay, next on the list is you need to be around more whimsy in your life. Marisa just learned what the word whimsy meant the other day.
I've never heard the word whimsy. I've heard whimsical, but
it means the way it sounds too. Whimsy.
Well, I love it.
It's so whimsy.
I want to be whimsy all the time. So I saw this post online that was saying like, you're unhappy because you don't have enough whimsy in your life. And I was like, what the fuck is whimsy? But basically it was talking about this like playfulness, this creativity. And specifically, as you think about travel, it's so easy when you're home or in your place or somewhere you live, for years on end or 12 months of the year, that you just get in a routine, and you do the things, and you go to the store and you drive right back, and you go to the restaurant and you drive right back, or you walk wherever and you come right back. And when you're out and traveling, there's something different that happens where like life becomes more playful, creative. Like your life is more creative. You're walking around in a new environment you haven't been, and your brain opens and you see things. And I feel like your life is more whimsical. You get to be more playful. You do activities that like when you're home, you just do the same things. And I feel like when you travel, it's like, let's go zip lining. Let's go paddle boarding. Let's go do this sport I've never done. It's just like your life becomes more whimsical, and it truly makes you more joyful. It makes you happier. It makes you more creative. It makes like your vitality stronger, all of these things. So I love this about nomad life. I feel like when I come home from traveling for 4 months, it feels like I've been gone for 10 years of whimsical experiences. And everyone else is like, I feel like you've been gone for 10 seconds. Like their life is just on autopilot. So to me, living as a digital nomad, having the freedom to travel gives you more whimsy in your life. And I think that can help fight depression. I think that can helps you have better mental health. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think because I was just full of whimsy the last week in Nomad. The whole point of this Nomad summer camp that I go to is to just have whimsy, and it's a requirement of the camp to not work so that you can interact with people and just play and just literally set up with games all week. So you learn how to play again and have whimsy. And I think it's so important because there's so many different reasons behind it. Laughing, obviously, that's great for the soul. It's good for the body. Also, creating jokes is a different pathway in your brain. Like if you get stuck in a rut working all the time, you're not going to this creative side where there's a lot to this. Creating jokes uses so many different parts of your brain. It uses creativity, it uses humor, it uses like logistics, it uses all observational things, and you're creating all these pathways that you don't use. And you can notice that when you're out and around people and you're like cracking up and cracking jokes, and those moments when you're not, like you're completely on or completely shut off. And it's easy to completely shut that off. So it's really important to remind yourself to play, because it's, you know, it's not that important. And those are the important things, are to make sure that you play. To me, I think that's living, is reminding yourself to be a kid again.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of that when you're traveling. A lot of that.
How do you think, so if someone's listening and they're like, well, I could just play more at home, how do you think travel or living as a digital nomad opens you up to have more of that in your life or do it more?
I think there's more adventures. There's more socialization for sure. So I think just the nature of socializing more, and not just with your coworkers, with other people, will do that. Having external stimulus brings that out. So you go on some adventure on a weekend, you're already going to be kind of looking at new stuff and excited. You know, your excitement's up and you're commenting on things. That happens. The environment alone, like we talked about, if you put yourself in a better environment, you're going to be more joyous and whimsical. You're going to feel more passionate about things. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it just lends itself to that, you know?
I love that. So again, all of this, we have a couple more to go still, but just like kind of taking the bird's eye view of each of the things we're talking about is, there's a trend I see around on Instagram. It's like, you're not depressed. You're just like ... And it's like, you're not in the right place. You're not playing enough. You don't have enough sunlight. You don't have enough grass on your feet. You don't, all of these things. So just as we think about like your mental health, your physical health, your well-being, your joy, your depression or not, right? All of these things make a difference. And digital nomad life is just such a beautiful way to be able to give you these things that can help, rather than just trying to like sit in a chair and only talk to a therapist and be like, nothing's changing. It's like, well, maybe you just need more play. Maybe you just need a different environment. Maybe you need more of these things. So yeah, exactly. With that, the next one on our list is that you might just need more community. So this is one I am so passionate about, and it's not something I realized until I started traveling, how much most of our societies are set up to be more and more lonely. So you think about the villages we used to live in, the groups we used to live in, the families that used to, multiple generations that would live together in these small towns where everyone knew their neighbors. And now so much, I'll speak specifically to the US society, but it's the same in many European countries, a lot of places. It's like, the more successful you are, the more you're striving to get a bigger house with, farther away from your neighbors, with more security and a bigger fence, walls. And there's a beauty to, I love a nice big house more than the next person, but I want to share it with friends and people around. I always tell every one of my friends knows that my dream is I just want to live on a compound, like at the ocean, with a bunch of land, and everyone have their own individual little, you have your own little house, but like we all have our common space where we just walk outside. There's a pool we can all be at. We can all meet outside for sunset. Like, we're grilling over here tonight. There's just a magic. And I think about, when I left college, how I didn't realize it was like so sad and depressing in many ways, where it's like, I just went from living with like 11 of my best friends and 20 more of our friends popping in the living room all the time, just walking by, or your friends and a friend over, to just like being alone in a box of an apartment in these places. And so for travel, this is not the case for everybody, but if you make it an intentional part to be in community, to me, it opens up. Like, my life as a nomad has been so much more surrounded by community than what my life looks like in the US, where I have to say like, okay, friends, I'll meet you next Saturday at 2 p.m. At this house we'll get together for dinner or whatever. Versus, I think about how you were probably just living in Puerto Escondido, where it's like, hey, you text your group of friends. And it's like, I'll be at the beach for sunset. Join me. I'm co-working here. I'm playing pickleball here. I'm doing this. And it's just like, there's always people around. And that is something that really drastically changed my life again for the better of like, even co-working. It's like, if I'm working from home in the US, I'm usually just at my house by myself working versus like, oh, I'm going to sit, let's all go work here. Come over. We'll work together. Like, let's go, I don't know. It's really hard to explain it until you feel it again. But the way that community and having more people around when you travel and people who are just looking to do things. Like, I feel like it's adventurous people who want to, go for a hike on a Saturday morning or go sit at the beach or play or go on this adventure or road trip. Like, you're just always with more people. Again, if you intentionally choose it to be, it can be very isolating and lonely if you don't. But to me, it's like back to our roots of how we were meant to live in villages and communities. And it's so much healthier. Like, I just feel, I'm also someone who, when a healthy version of me is very energized by friends and people around. And so it makes me feel so much healthier and better. But what's your take on it?
Yeah, even me as an introvert, I still need it. And I mean, even the biggest introverts still need some of it. We're social creatures, right? We're pack animals. We're not isolationists, but we're creating this world, this environment in states that is purely isolationist. Like, the more isolated you are, the more successful you are. That's wild to me.
It's
because yeah, when I'm around my groups and have access to my groups, I've never felt better. And you just get so much of that as a digital nomad. And it kind of doesn't even matter where you go. Some places are more conducive to it than others. Usually smaller towns, not big cities. But still, it's like, yeah, oddly enough, in a big city, you feel more isolated, don't you? It feels like kind of...
So ironic.
It's even worse because you get like that drone of all the sound and everything and all the noise and all that. But you're still alone. Like, you see it and you're alone. It's like, oh, that's... get the worst of both worlds. So,
I used to think that in New York all the time when I would like look out the window and you see just like, it feels like a weird horror movie where everyone's just alone in their individual boxes and you can like see them across the street, but like they're not interacting with each other and you can't talk to them and everyone's just alone, but you see people around you. It's very weird.
It's jarring. Yeah. It's like your brain can't understand both things happen at the same time. Same thing living in San Francisco and Oakland. It's just, you're just constantly surrounded by strangers that aren't interacting with one another, and they kind of resent you being there because they're just your space and you're in the way. It's just it's counterintuitive, but it's not good.
All right, what's next? I'm gonna let you hit this one.
It's the magic portal.
Explain what you mean.
It's the magic portal. So it's this idea. Did we just come up with the idea, or is it scientific? Maybe it's just an idea. Doesn't matter. When you go somewhere different if say you're in a rut somewhere and you go somewhere different, mentally you kind of change your frame around the way that you look at things. So you're having a really shitty time in New York in November, and then you go to Costa Rica, you go through a magic portal and you're now in Costa Rica, and your mindset shifts. And no, sorry, I'll tell you about, there is science to this. It's the doorway theory thing. Like, if it states that if you've forgotten something and you've walked around the house, walk back into the room where you were thinking about that thing, and it'll come back into your brain. And sometimes it actually does. And the reason why is because your brain compartmentalizes thoughts and feelings and ways of thinking in spaces. And if you leave that space, you've now left that way of thinking, which tells you why you would forget something, because you left that space where you were thinking about that thing. And I fully believe that you can do that at a much bigger scale than a doorway. I think you can do it going to a completely new country and living in a completely different environment, and it'll completely change your outlook on everything that you're looking at, and it'll reframe your new doorway as the magic portal, and it goes into the tropics, or it goes into the mountains, hopefully not, or it goes into blue space. Yeah, so I think this is quasi-scientific. Maybe it's Jeff and Marisa scientific. But I think it's got basis. I think it's grounded in some sort of reality.
It definitely is. I was thinking as you're talking, there's a lot of science behind. Have you ever heard the phrase that your brain it wires and fires in the same thing? So if you are in the same routine, in the same house, in the same city, doing the same things, your brain is wiring and firing in the same pattern. So let's say you're unhappy right now in your life, or you're wanting to make a change or get a new habit or just be a little happier, get out of depression, whatever that is. It's really hard when you're just in the same patterns every single day, because it's hard for your brain to make any sort of change. So when you go somewhere new, suddenly it's like there's new stimulus. Your brain gets to wire and fire in different ways. And so if you think about like the power of going on a retreat somewhere, like you could do the exact same work that you're doing at a retreat in your own home, and it would be a lot harder to like break through, to retrain your brain to have new thoughts and new beliefs, and therefore a new reality of your life. And that's why if you think about going on a retreat, it's not just the topic, but there's a reason people go to a different country, because suddenly your surroundings are different. Not everything's the same. Your brain is like thinking in new ways. It's like taking in new things, like hearing new languages, different money, currency, whatever that is. And it allows your brain to then like, it's like an interception of like, okay, there's a new thing. And so you get to have new thoughts and new patterns that you can then bring back home. So to me, that's also, I think, every time I go to a new country, I feel like I just kind of become a different version of myself, or just I don't know, it's hard to explain it, but it's like always improvements. I'm like learning something new or doing something I've been trying to figure out for a while. I get to a new country and it's just like, oh, like, this is easier here. So I think that there is that, if you want to call it portal, a different portal you walk through, but just allowing your brain to have different stimulus and different thought patterns. That, like, I think one example I love is if you think about like the mind and the brain. Imagine like you're in the snow and there's a sled and it forms these ruts. Like if you're going to like those little, what are they called with the what are the things called? Not like a flat sled. No, the opposite, where you have like those two blades. That's called blades. That's what I'm looking for. You have like two blades that go in the snow, right? And over time you're forming this rut, and that's like what your brain pattern is. And it goes and it goes and it goes. So leaving that basically kind of like wipes that slate clean, so you can choose whatever like new place you want to put your sled to have your ruts. I don't know if that landed with anybody. Hopefully it did. You're like literally getting out of your ruts with your brain pattern, so it can help you again if you're like trying to lose weight or just have different thoughts or believe something different about yourself or start a business or a project or whatever it is. Get over, like change, getting through grief or wherever. Just changing your environment can like unlock it in a second. That's something you couldn't do in the same place. So I think that's a magic to nomad life. Even if you want to go back home every couple months or most of the time, it just gives you the freedom to go and be in different places, get new ideas, change things, come back. We got a couple quick more. The first one, this is a huge one that I'm really passionate about right now, of just like, maybe you're not depressed, maybe you're just surrounded by toxins in the country that you were in. I say the US very much so specifically, but a lot of different countries have high pollution levels. There's a lot going on. So for this one, I could lump together a lot of air quality, EMFs, so all the different cell towers, electricity going on, pesticides in the food, your water being poisoned. Like, these things are all so real. And sometimes just leaving that country and being in a place that has cleaner air, or you're in nature with less noise we talked about, or you go to a place where the food quality is not just covered in pesticides and it's just easier to be healthy, it can make a huge difference like in a second. So for me, I think about this being in Sri Lanka. Like, I had a lot of toxins I've been going through a lot of health stuff. I mentioned a couple times in the podcast, which I will go into at some point. But like when I didn't even know I was so sick from just like toxin overload in my body from a lot of things in the States. And when I went to Sri Lanka, just being at the beach, eating clean food, my body just felt so much better in a way that's hard to explain. So just getting out of that and making it easier to eat healthy food, to breathe healthy air. Like, that's something a lot, if you're in Mexico City or a lot of places in the US or in India or Nepal, like some of these places that just have, burning season, in Bali even, when you leave that, you're like, you can just breathe clean air and your body is happier. It makes a huge difference.
I mean, we eat shit here. That's not even controversial. The stuff that we eat, anything that's not single ingredient. Anything's packaged or bottled or canned. It's got so much crap in it. It's just we don't eat normal food here. So yeah,
But
when
even
you
just
leave
the
here,
bread, like you can go to Italy and eat bread and not feel bad, and then like
well, they
in
do
the
stuff
US,
to the flour here
Yes.
like, that makes the bread. It's
Yep.
yeah, it's tough. I will say the air quality thing that can vary from city to city for sure. Yeah, for me, it's the food, chemicals everywhere. It's just yeah, and it's not good. It's not good to be around it, and you can attest to that for sure.
Yeah. All right, the next one on the list, we got two more, and one I think you'll love the last one the most. But number 12 is just the beauty of your environment. I think is underrated. If you've ever, I feel like Jeff, you talk when you come back from Puerto Escondido and you get to like the burbs in California, or for me when I get to Atlanta. I remember one time, I don't remember where I came back from. I think I was traveling around Europe. I was in like Spain and Portugal and all these places, and I came back and I met a friend for dinner, and it was like at this ramen place, which was really good, but it was in a strip mall. And I just remember being like, I just come from these like beautiful town squares and like pretty like the buildings are pretty and the streets are cobblestone, everything's beautiful, and then I just like walked down this road in the cement parking lot in a strip mall, and I was just every time I come back to the US, I'm very alarmed by the strip malls and the highways and like everything just looks so ugly. And this isn't ever, I feel like this sounds like a downer of an episode, just hating on the US. Like there are beautiful places and neighborhoods and some very architecturally awesome buildings, but like as a whole, just like it's a lot to look at. So if you think about your environment, sometimes just like go to Italy and walk around some cobblestones for a little bit. Like go to another place where the town is just beautiful or the landscape is beautiful, and just by nature of seeing that, like you will be a happier person. It makes a difference.
I don't know what there is behind that. I'm sure there's some physiological thing, but when you are looking at nice things, you feel better. You feel more inspired. You feel more comfortable. Your cortisol goes down. Your anxiety goes down. Yeah, you just feel better, and that's the whole window thing for me. Like I don't want to look at a wall. You know, if I can look outside at some trees, a nice view, you just immediately feel better. Something triggers in your brain.
Yeah. So as a nomad, you get to go to the beautiful places, even if that's not your hometown or where you want to be. It's like you get to expose yourself to it more, and it makes a huge difference, though it will make it harder for you to go back to them. I will say that. And then lastly on the list, as I said, access to sunrise and sunsets, which Jeff and I love. I know Jeff loves a good sunset, sunrise, but I wanted to do it a little bit scientifically. I don't know how much you're into this, Jeff, but there's so much science around getting the red light. Like, so everyone talks about like red light therapy.
I don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay. So if you ever see I don't know if you probably don't get as much fed to you, but if you look at like all the women who are wearing all the red light masks on their face and their eyes, and do you ever see that? Like people like go on your red met, like, so red light it is really good for you. But basically what it's replicating is like the infrared light that you get at sunrise and sunset. So not when the sun's like high over your head, but as it's setting or as it's rising. When your eyes see that, it sets your circadian rhythm. So you know, like your body gets tired when it's meant to get tired, and it wakes up when you're meant to wake up. Sense. So a lot of people say, if you listen to like Huberman Lab type of podcast or any of those sciencey ones, they'll say like, go outside first thing in the morning and look at your bare eyes, not with contacts, not with glasses, nothing on, like look into when the sun is rising, and then as the sun is setting, try to get your eyes to see it. So when you're in cities or places you often can't, it's still helpful to get outside. You're still getting something, but to visually see like the infrared light from the sunrise and from the sunset, it really makes your body healthier. Like your hormones start functioning correctly. Your melatonin like comes and goes at the right time. You sleep better. Your deep sleep is better. It's healthier in so many ways. So to live in places where you can physically see either sunrise or sunset or both is like such a benefit health-wise, besides just being wonderful.
Yeah, I could totally vouch for that. Seeing a sunset is just amazing. It is amazing. It's one of my favorite things. And then, granted, most of the sunrises I see are not the results of waking up early.
Same.
But it's no less magical to me. So
We're maybe not helping ourselves in those moments, but it's still really pretty.
Maybe not, but still it's absolutely magical to see. And yeah, I can't explain it, but it just makes me feel good, you know? And then the whole, when you're at the beach and any of those, you know, beach towns up and down the Pacific coast, everybody stops and goes out and watches the sunset. Everybody stops, you know, and they all sit and talk like, ooh, this is a good one. Like, you know, it's like, wow. And, you know, some people rate them. I remember Danielle Lee would rate the sunsets. She had to see like 31 out of 31 when we were in Puerto. It was pretty funny.
That's funny. But yeah, there's also something very communal about it when you're at beach towns or other places where everyone gathers. Like when I live in Costa Rica and I'm with a group of people, no matter what we're doing at that time, it's like 10 minutes before sunset, we're slamming our laptop shut, barefoot, down to the beach, maybe swimming in the ocean, watching it. So it's also just
mandatory.
Like yeah, so it really pulls in the green, what was it, like the green principle, the blue principle, the grounding, the community. I feel like it brings, and then the sunset and the, you know, getting the circadian rhythm and all of that. So a lot of these places have a lot of the factors working towards them, and that's that. But overall, again, if I'm zooming out big picture, so we gave you a lot of details of like all different aspects of things you can look for, you might want, or why you're feeling depressed. If you just change your environment, you won't be. But overall, I think that the big picture I want to take away from a digital nomad point of view is that you get to choose anything you need. So if you feel like as you learn how these environments start impacting you, I think when you're in an like, let's say you've lived in one city or country or state or town your whole life, or for the last 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, you just kind of get used to a level of normal that, like, let's say you're feeling a 6 out of 10, that becomes your new normal and you don't even realize it. So I think something so cool about nomad life is like,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
You think 6 out of 10 is your 10 because it's all you've experienced. But then when you you live somewhere else for a month, you're like, oh my God, my body can just feel like this. Like I can be maybe you feel an 8 out of 10 there just by, you know, as your natural set point because of the nature or the community or the food or the silence or whatever is around you. And you can go somewhere else for a month or two and see how do you're like, oh, I feel a little worse here. I feel a little better here. I feel a little worse here. I feel a little better here. And you start to get data points. You start to get all these data points because everybody likes different places. Like if I tell you the 5 places I feel the best in, if you're listening, you might feel like Jeff and I talked about the mountains. Maybe you guys feel fantastic in the mountains and that's your data point. And go try all these places. Maybe you hate the beach like we do and you love the mountains. Like you'll get the data from living as a digital nomad and trying out different places, and maybe different times in your life you want different things, or different months of the year you want different things, or like maybe your family is all in New York City and like you want to spend 2 months with them, but then you get to go be in nature and reset and kind of come back to yourself for a couple months, and then you want to go back again. So all of this to say, like, what got me inspired about this topic is like you might think you're depressed, but really you're just missing, you know, like A, B, C, D, or E is wrong in your environment. And if you just switch your environment, so much can change. And getting a remote job that gives you the freedom to work from anywhere really allows you to like try out all of these things to have a better quality of life. I would say that's maybe, if I wrap it all into a pretty bow, it's like living as a digital nomad lets you live in different environments and have a better quality of life. And you get to choose what that is. You get to test it out. You get to try different ones, different months, different seasons, different parts of the year, different parts of your lifetime, whatever season you're in, and just get different data points for where you feel good. And it will really highlight where you're not feeling good, where you thought it was a you problem and it's not. It's just your environment. So what is your kind of takeaway from all this, Jeff?
I mean, I said at the beginning, the location that I'm at has a huge relationship with how I'm feeling. And I think it does for just about anybody. And think about it. If you are thinking that you might be in that 6 out of 10 space, just consider that it can get a lot better. Think about maybe the best vacation you've ever gone on before and where it was, and think, okay, do that all the time now. Like, how did you feel then? Okay, that's your life now. And that's exactly what it's like. And if you go to the wrong place, you just change. You go to a different place. Like you said, digital nomad life is like, didn't like that, did like that, do more of this, you know. And eventually you get the perfect recipe to year-round, almost year-round, maybe not always year-round, but optimized.
Yeah, I like that. And I love, like, with the example, I've talked to a lot of nomad friends who will go home and be like, why do I just, you know, there's so much about like, we can choose how we feel anywhere, right? I'm a big advocate of that, of like, just because you're in a place doesn't mean you have to be a 6 out of 10, right? But what I would say is the environment might allow you to wake up at a 6 out of 10, and you have to like work really energetically hard to get to a 10. If you're like, okay, it's going to be a good day. I'm going to walk across the street and sit with my feet in the grass for an hour of my day. And then I'm going to meditate. And then I'm going to go drive 20 minutes to this one place that has the healthy food to make me feel good. It's like you have to work hard to get to a 10. Whereas when you're just in these places in the environment that works for you, you get to like naturally wake up at a 10 and then spend your energy on your work or your friendships or your romantic life or your sport. Like you get to just do the things that just exponentially make your life better instead of fighting just to get to neutral.
Baseline. Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I really want. You know, maybe if you've never traveled or gotten to live somewhere else for a month and you've only just thought vacation was nice because you weren't working for a week, like it's also just the environment. So get that remote job. If you're not already on an email list, go to beachcommute.com/email. We send out fully remote jobs that let you work from anywhere. We send out daily emails with lots of remote job opportunities. It's really awesome. So check that out. If you are hearing all this and you're like, I must have this life. How do I work from anywhere so that so that you can live out all of these different environments and find what works for you? That is the fastest way. So any last words, Jeff?
Nope. With that, we will see you again next week.